Captured in a time corridor, the Doctor and his companions are forced to land on 20th century Earth, diverted by the Doctor's eldest enemy, the Daleks. It is here the true purpose of the time corridor becomes apparent. After 90 years of imprisonment, Davros, ruthless creator of the Daleks, is to be liberated to assist in the resurrection of his army. Not even the Daleks foresee the poisonous threat of their creator. Indeed, who would suspect Davros of wanting to destroy his own Daleks, and why? Only the Doctor knows the truth. Will he descend to Davros' level of evil to stop him? Welcome, friends and companions. How are you today? I'm doing great. So, sci-fi fantasy fans and all sort of fans meet on this channel for fun chats about their beloved books, movies, series, and franchises. We also talk about food and drinks, music, and sport. And a special place on this channel for Doctor Who, my most beloved sci-fi series. I will watch this series till eternity. So, this channel has multiple names because the reason is that I regenerate multiple times. But most of the time, this channel is called Random Entertainment Channel, or so random because we discuss everything that involves entertainment, including movies and series, books and music. We don't do politics and religion; these are not entertainment. So we do not in depth these things like religion and politics. So random because we will broadcast on non-fixed time, actually many different times. That's also the case with the Doctor. Doctor travels through time and space, different the time, past, present, and future. So, and this world has multiple time zones. So, and when I live stream, I do it on different times because I want to beat as much people as possible. Because, yeah, uh, I want to make friends and network and reach as much people as possible. So that's the reason I do multiple different times. So you need to subscribe to this channel actually to know what time the broadcast is. Carefully. So random. Also, because we have no guests or different guests. It depends if you want to join me in live stream panel. If you want to join me in live stream, feel to contact me via YouTube. You can put a comment on one of the YouTube videos, or you can visit and meet me on the Discord server. And we will look what is possible. And also, it's possible to invite me for your channel for a live stream panel. Or I want also to contribute to your channel, and I want to talk about the things we are interested in. So feel free also for that. So the Discord server is called Random Entertainment Channel Tech Doctor Who. So cheers, man. Have lots of fun. This is your host, Enigmatic Joker. Today we have a fifth Doctor story called Resurrection of the Daleks. Fifth Doctor is played by Peter Davison. And the Daleks, yes, is one of the main villains of the Doctor. And as the title is saying, there are Daleks in the story. So, first, some general info about this story. There are many Dalek stories. So, Resurrection of the Daleks was the fourth serial of season 21 of Doctor Who. It was the final regular appearance of Janet Fielding as Tegan Jovanka, who left the Fifth Doctor for the second time. It also marked the return of Davros and the Daleks after their last appearance in Destiny of the Daleks. And Destiny of the Daleks is a fourth Doctor story with Tom Baker and Romana II, and also featuring K9. Lighton makes his debut and, strangely for the villains of the time, survives with no ill effects. So, notably, this story was separated into two 45-minute episodes in place of the usual 4 25-minute ones, a format that would temporarily become the norm during season 22. The 45-minute length eventually became the established episode length for the series following its revival in 2005. So this is for the record, some general info and background info about this. So we dive now into the plot. So even spoiler alert, if you haven't watched or listened to this story yet, I highly recommend to do that. For otherwise, you can listen further to this plot. So get ready, fasten your seatbelts. 2 parts. Up and there you go. A group of futuristic humanoids are running down Shed Thames in 1984. As they attempt to escape, they are gunned down by two policemen led by Commander Lighton in the uniform of an inspector. Two of the humanoids, Galloway and Quartermaster Sergeant Steen, escape into the adjacent wharf where a time corridor is situated. Galloway is killed by a Dalek trooper, leaving Steen alone. Lighton transports back to his battlecruiser and prepares to attack a prison space station. Its only prisoner is Davros, the creator of the Daleks. Meanwhile, Dr. Tegan and Turlough are being dragged down a time corridor in the TARDIS shortly after their departure from Frontios. They land in an apparently disused part of London. On the prison ship, Dalek drones attack, trying a direct frontal assault on the outside of the station airlock with poor results. The station crew, led by Dr. Stiles and Lieutenant Mercer, fight back in force. Lighton persuades the Supreme Dalek to use poisonous gas to dispose of the crew. This proves a success, and the Daleks have little trouble taking over the station. Following orders, Watch Officer Osborn tries to destroy Davros, first with a non-functional automated system, then in person. However, Lighton and an engineer break into the cell and kill Osborn before she can complete her mission. They then release Davros from his cryogenic imprisonment. The Doctor and his friends have by now met a traumatized Steen. He joins them in returning to the warehouse to hunt for the time corridor. While the others are distracted, Turlough vanishes. While searching for him, the Doctor, Tegan, and Steen meet a military bomb disposal squad led by Colonel Archer, who were called in after builders converting the warehouse into flats uncovered what they believed were unexploded bombs. Turlough has ended up on the Dalek ship after having stumbled into the time corridor. Having learned the Doctor is in the warehouse, the Supreme Dalek dispatches a Dalek to detain him. The Daleks travel. The Dalek travels through the time corridor and appears in the warehouse. The Doctor yells at everyone to take cover as the Dalek prepares to exterminate them. This is actually end of part one of a four-part version, but we do the two-part version. So the Daleks kill one of the soldiers before the Doctor gets the other men to focus their fire on its eye stalk, blinding it. In the struggle, Tegan is hit by the Dalek's sucker arm, but the others push the Dalek out of the loading bay doors, whereupon it hits the ground and explodes. Tegan has suffered a head injury and blacks out. On the prison station, only Stiles, Mercer, and two guards are left alive of the original crew. Disguised in uniforms taken from Leiden's guards, they plan to blow up the station with its self-destruct system, even at the cost of their own lives. Still in his room on a prison ship, Davros explains to Leiden that his cryogenic sentence lasted for 90 years of mind-numbing boredom. He vows revenge on that meddling Time Lords, the Doctor. Leiden insists he is in their grasp. While Davros's travel chair is undergoing maintenance by an engineer named Kisten, Leiden explains how the Daleks lost their war against the Malevolence due to the development of a virus that specifically attacked Dalek tissue. They have awoken Davros to find a cure. Despite Leiden's reservations, Davros demands he remain on the prison station while working on the virus. It may be necessary for him to be refrozen. When Leiden discussed this with the Supreme Dalek, Davros uses a hypodermic-like mind control device produced from a secret compartment on his chair's control panel to take control of Kisten. Meanwhile, the Doctor and the members of the Tomb Disposal Squad have brought the remnants of the wrecked Dalek back inside. They search for the Khaled mutant inside. They find and kill it after it wounds one of the squad's men. The squad's scientific advisor, Professor Sarah Laird, looks after the victim and a recovering Tegan. Colonel Archer decides to radio his HQ for reinforcements, although his own radio is dead. Leaving the doctor his gun belt in case any more Daleks arrive, Archer leaves to find a telephone. Archer finds a telephone box on the street, but on lifting the receiver discovers the phone has been vandalized. The cable has been cut. Stepping outside, Archer finds two policemen and asks of the officers if he can use his radio to call for assistance. The policeman silently obliges, but when Archer tries the radio, it doesn't work. The other policeman then holds a gun to Archer's head. The doctor and Steen head into the stars to find out what is happening at the other end of the time corridor. On Earth, the soldier attacked by the Dalek mutant behaves very strangely, wandering away, mumbling nonsense and running upstairs. Sergeant Calder follows the soldier, but then suddenly finds himself confronted by four Daleks, which appeared via the time corridor. Tegan and Laird hear the sound of gunfire upstairs and try to leave the warehouse, only to be caught by Archer. Calder and soldiers, including the one blasted down by the Dalek area, and Archer tells them the warehouse is now under martial law and he will have them shot if they try to leave. Out of the soldier's earshot, Tegan points out to Laird that's not the real Archer, as the colonel gave the doctor his gun belt, and yet he's wearing one. The TARDIS materializes inside the Dalek ship and narrowly avoids being captured. The doctor tells Steen they should find Turlough and makes a swift exit. Steen points his own weapon at the doctor, revealing himself an agent of the Daleks. End of part 1. Part 2. A squadron of Daleks close in to exterminate the Doctor, but Lieutenant enters and tells them the Supreme Dalek has ordered the Doctor is not to be killed. Yet. The Daleks confirm this and lead the Doctor away. On the prison station, Turlough joins forces with the remnants of the crew. He tells them of the time corridor to escape the station's self-destruction. The Daleks reveal their plan of cloning the Doctor and his companions and using the clones to assassinate the High Council of the Time Lords on Gallifrey. Steen begins the mind-copying sequence while the Doctor tries to talk him into resisting his Dalek mind conditioning. Elsewhere, Styles and the two station guards are killed while trying to activate the station's self-destruct system. Back on Earth, Tegan tries to escape by running east down the Thames path, pursued by Leighton's policemen, so-called, and shouts for help to a man with a metal detector down on the mudbanks. But the man has his back to Tegan and is wearing headphones so he can't hear her. The policemen recapture Tegan and then, to her horror, one of them callously shoots the man, even though he saw and heard nothing. Back at the warehouse, Arthur orders the soldiers to put the women into the time corridor, but Laird panics and runs. The soldiers open fire and kill her. Tegan is taken through the time corridor to the Dalek ship. Meanwhile, in the duplication chamber, Steen is overcome by confusion. Doctor has realized Steen's conditioning is unstable. He challenges his ability to think for himself. As the mind-copying sequence nears completion, Steen breaks his conditioning and stops the process, freeing the Doctor. The Doctor finds Turlough and Tegan, and then they return to the TARDIS with Steen and the last surviving station crew member. Rather than depart, the Doctor decides he must destroy Davros once and for all. With Steen and Lieutenant Mercer, he heads to the station lab, leaving Tegan and Turlough in the TARDIS, which he has secretly programmed to return to the warehouse on time delay. In the lab, Davros has heard the Doctor has been taken prisoner by the Daleks. He announces that once the Doctor has been exterminated, he will build a new race of Daleks. It shall be even more deadly. They shall again become the supreme beings. This is actually the end of part three of the four-part version. But as I already was saying, we do the two-part version of 45 minutes. So actually, this is the first half of the second part. Explanation this is a two-parter, 45 minutes, but there are some versions on DVDs that is four-part, 25 minutes. So actually, that's why I'm saying this. So this is the second part of the second part, and part four of yeah, whatever. The Doctor confronts Davros in the lab. His chance to kill him is lost when Sting's conditioning reasserts itself long enough to let Leighton's troop kill Lieutenant Mercer. Horrified by his actions, Sting refuses to accompany the Doctor back to the time corridor and runs off into the station. Davros' army, biochemist Kisten, a soldier, and two Daleks, is growing. He dispatches his loyal Daleks and troopers to Earth. Anticipating resistance by the Supreme Dalek, Davros opens a capsule of the Movalent virus. Two Daleks enter to exterminate him, but are killed by the virus. Back at the warehouse, a battle rages between Davros loyalists and the Supreme Daleks. So actually some, civil war. The TARDIS arrives and the Doctor returns through the time corridor. He now knows the unexploded bombs. Discovered earlier are canisters of the Movalent virus. He opens a canister that Turlo and Tegan have brought into the TARDIS. He places it behind the Daleks, who all start to die. Leiden has escaped and gleefully watches the Daleks' demise. He swaps his Dalek trooper uniform for that of a policeman and joins his two fellow bobbies on their next vigil. Back on the space station with the Imperial Daleks defeated, Davros prepares an escape pod to flee from the station, but the Movalent virus attacks him as well. Back on Earth, the Daleks from both sides are dead. Tegan is appalled at the death. Suddenly, the Supreme Dalek appears on the TARDIS scanner and threatens the Doctor, claiming the Daleks have duplicates of prominent humans all over Earth, which makes it just a matter of time before Earth falls. The Doctor, however, states that the duplicates are not stable and will break free of Dalek control, just as Steen has. Meanwhile, a wounded Steen tries to activate the self-destruct sequence. Just as he is about to finish, the Daleks enter and exterminate him. Although dying, he manages to complete the sequence, destroying the station and the Dalek ship. At the warehouse, the Doctor calls for them all to leave, as they must alert Earth's authorities. But Tegan says she's not coming. This has been one massacre too many. She no longer enjoys her adventures and wants to give it up. So she says a brief goodbye to the Doctor and Turlo before running off. The Doctor sadly remarks that he originally left Gallifrey for much the same reason that Tegan has just left him. He is tired of the nature of their lives and notes that he should try and mend his ways. With that, the Doctor and Turlo return to the TARDIS, and as it vanishes, Tegan runs back, remembering the Doctor's old admonishment. Brave heart, Tegan. She goes out to the empty air that, despite everything, she will miss him. And that's, my friends and companions, is the end of the story, Resurrection of the Daleks. I will name some cast members. The Doctor is played by Peter Davison. Tegan Jovenka is played by Janet Fielding. Turlo is played by Mark Strickson. Devers is played by Terry Malloy. Steen is played by Rodney Lewis. Um, Leighton is played by Maurice Colborn. Styles is played by Rula Lenska. Conan Archer is played by Del Henning. Professor Laird is played by Chloe Ashcroft. Sergeant Calder is played by Philip McGove. Mercer is played by Jim Finley. Osborne is played by Sinead Gupta. Trooper is played by Roger Davenport. Crew members played by John Adam Baker. Another crew member is played by Lindsay Turner. Calloway is played by William Slay. Dalek voices are Brian Miller and Royce Mills. Dalek operators are John Scott Martin, Saytown, Tony Starr, and Toby Byrne. And Kiston is played by Les Grantham. Some world building. Animals. A cat is mistaken for Dalek mutants. Some world building Daleks. Dalek Supreme is in charge of one Dalek faction. The Daleks electronically communicate with each other without words. Electronic sound is heard each time this happens. The Dalek clone subdued humanoids in duplication chambers. Duplicates are intended to infiltrate strategic Earth positions. A duplicate of the Doctor is also intended to infiltrate the High Council of Gallifrey. A fourth thing is that the Daleks identify Turlo as a companion of the Doctor, despite having not met him directly yet. And Devers has a mind control device for both humanoids and Daleks. He used the device on two Daleks, which subsequently become the first Imperial Daleks. And when infected by the Movelin virus, Daleks begin to lose control of their casings. And they lose vision while white substance spurts out of their casings. Davros is also vulnerable. So about the Daleks, there are some different Daleks. There is in this case there are Imperial Daleks also. It's good to have a live stream in the future about different Daleks, but for now, let's go further. The Doctor. Flashbacks through the Doctor's mind on Dalek's mind and analysis machine include Turlo, Tegan, Nissa, Edric, Romana II, Mona First, K9, Harry Sullivan, Fourth Doctor, Sarah Jane Smith, Joe Grant, the Brigadier, Liz Shaw, Third Doctor, Zoe Harriet, Victoria Waterfield, Jamie McCrimmon, Second Doctor, Ben Jackson, Polly Wright, Donna Shipley, Sarah Kingdom, Katarina, Stephen Taylor, Vicky Pallister, Ira Wright, Ian Chesterton, Susan Foreman, and the First Doctor. The Doctor decides that Davros must be killed and accepts the role of executioner with great reluctance. He ultimately does not kill him. Another thing, the Doctor vows to change his ways after the massive death toll that he can sting criticism of his lifestyle. And the last thing about the Doctor is that when Tegan leaves, the Doctor remembers how he left Gallifrey for similar reasons. Very interesting, by the way. Some world-building individuals. Tegan quotes her dead aunt Vanessa to justify her decision to stay on Earth. And Lighten disguises himself as a policeman. His henchmen do likewise. Some things in locations. There are cylinders of the Movelin virus stored on Earth, and the TARDIS materializes near London's Tower Bridge in 1984. Some world-building in time travel. The Daleks used time corridor technology to travel between their spacecraft, the space station, and Earth in 1984. The cloister bell can be heard ringing while the Doctor is trying to free the TARDIS from the Daleks' time corridor. And inside this time corridor, the Doctor's TARDIS is thrown around. And last, world building in weapons, four things. Doctor handles a pistol, killing Dalek mutants. The Movulans hit a number of anti-Dalek virus containers on Earth. The Daleks equipped their android duplicates with time period specific weapons such as submachine guns for Leighton's Fox policemen. This causes some consternation for Leighton, who abhors the waste of useful slave subjects for experimentation after the prisoners escape. And Dalek troopers are armed with laser weapons that have no visible beam, but are lethal to humans in a single shot and can damage a Dalek with enough shots. Some, some story notes. This story had the working title of The Return of the Daleks and the Resurrection. The second thing is that although recorded as four separate episodes, it was broadcast as two 45-minute episodes to free up transmission slots for the broadcast of the 1984 Winter Olympics. So that's the reason two-parter, four-parter. Uh, um, an article by Rusty Davis in the Doctor Who Annual 2006 suggested Dalek Supreme's attempt to assassinate the Time Council was one of the initial classes in the last great Time War mentioned and in subsequent years seen in the revived series. Another story notes that during the mind analysis scene, Leela and Comedian are the only companions not to appear in the flashback sequence. A clip of the former, taken from the Face of Evil, was to be featured during the aforementioned flashback sequence, but it was omitted by mistake. Of the companions seen, six never encountered the Daleks on screen. And that were Dodo, Zoe, Liz, Romana the First, Edric, and Nissa. So another story notes that Michael Wisher, who had played the original Davros in Genesis of the Daleks with for Dr. Tom Baker, he was unavailable to reprise his role as he was appearing in the Dame of Sark. So he was replaced by Terry Molloy. Molloy studied Wisher's approach to Davros to ensure a level of consistency. Mask originally worn by Wisher and adapted for David Grusin was too large for Molloy. So a new mask was created using a cast of Molloy's head. This story has an unusually high body count, even for Doctor Who, at 76. Besides the Doctor, Deacon, and Turlough, only Davros, Leighton, and his two policemen survive. The Dalek Supreme is technically not destroyed on screen, but was almost certainly on the Dalek ship at the time of its destruction, since there appears to have been no opportunity for it to have departed the scene. Much of the violence appears gratuitous. Gratuitous, such as the murder of Laird, killing of a crew member infected by a disease, and the shooting of the man with the metal detector, whose attention Tegan tries to attract. But these were likely included to set up Tegan's departure at the end of the serial, a decision which she makes due to the high death toll of the adventure. So it's a very bloody story, actually. Some horror or thriller story. So, the story was the first of three consecutive serials, along with Planet of Fire and the Case of Androzani, that saw the departure of one of the season's regular cast members. In this serial, Janet Fielding departs as a Tegan. The visual effect used for the space station self-destruct was later reused during the Fifth Doctor's regeneration in the case of Androzani. Another thing is that this first story since Planet of the Daleks feature a Dalek designated as the Supreme Dalek. Later sources would interestingly identify the Supremes seen in the Dalek's master plan uh, and in the story as the same individual. Um, Dalek's master plan is an first Doctor story with Stephen, Katarina, and Sarah, featuring Brett, First Monk, and the main enemy, Black Dalek leader, Maverick Chen. Um, Also, this is the last Dalek story in the classic series to include scenes in the TARDIS control room, and the last overall until Beth Wolf and the parting of the ways. That is with the Ninth Doctor, Christopher Eccleston. Um, the story was original to have been broadcast as part of season 20 under the title The Return, but due to production problems, it was moved forward to season 21. The story's ending had to be written to include Deacon's departure, but it's naturally not featured in the original version. Another interesting thing was that the Devereux was supposed to be killed off in the story, but until the estate of Termination objected. Uh, Another thing is that Tika's departure was shot last, and both Peter Davison and Janet Fielding were visibly upset. Um, okay. Um, Other story note is that, with the exception of a brief scene in Five Doctors, this is the only story to feature the Daleks during the Peter Davison era on screen. So it's actually one adventure with the Daleks, Fifth Doctor, combination with that. Also, one interesting thing is that notice that Deborah shows knowledge of the Time Lord, something that has never been said in front of the character in his past two appearances. Um, Also, the Daleks know of Gallifrey, and once the Doctors duplicated to assassinate the High Council, they previously had not shown such knowledge before the story. The Five Doctors had, however, featured Dalek being taken to Gallifrey, though not surviving to report back what it had seen, and included a line saying that the Daleks had historically not been allowed to participate in Gallifreyan wargames because they played too well. Well, no, the Five Doctors is a special. Um, Another thing is that Roy Skelton was unable to provide Dalek voices, so Matthew Robertson hired Royce Mills and Brian Miller. So Roy Skelton did the Daleks most of the times, but this time he was not available or something. Um, Another interesting note is that the attack on the space station marked the show's first use of a motion control rig. Uh, Other thing is that the Supreme Dalek's role was originally filled by Dalek Emperor and termination object to this because he disliked the character. Um, Another thing is that so that is it. All the notes I have. Um, some continuity because again and again, Doctor Who stories, episodes, specials are to some extent related to each other, or referencing to each other, linked to each other, and influence. And the cases every time rewatch Doctor Who stories and episodes, I discover new links. Always an interpretation. So some points in continuity. Davros was placed in suspended animation 90 years ago during the destiny of the Daleks. And yeah, of course, I've already said it. The Fourth Doctor and Romana the Second, K9. And Davros was seen before in Genesis of the Daleks, the Fourth Doctor Maker. So, for the record. Second thing is a Leiden's toeval of police goons reappear in TV story Attack of the Cybermen. I did a live stream about that already. You can see that in the in a playlist with Sixth Doctor Colin Baker. That is exactly that is the sixth the Doctor the Colin Baker era season 22. You can see find that live stream. I've made some playlists, so you can find it on my channel. Third thing is that as Daleks probe the Doctor's mind, flashbacks on the mind analysis machine included Turlo, TV story Terminus, Tegan in TV story Logopolus, Nissa in the Black Orchid, Edric in the Warrior's Gate, Romana II in the Warrior's Gate, Romana the First in a Rebels Operation, K9 in Warrior's Gate, Harry Sullivan in Terror of the Zygons, the Third Doctor in Pyramids of Mars, Sarah J. Smith also Pyramids of Mars, Joe Grant in The Mutants, Brigadier Letcherbridge Stewart in TV story Ambassadors of Death, Liz Shaw in TV story Spearhead from Space, Third Doctor in TV story Mutants, Zoe Harriet in TV story The War Games, Victoria Waterfield in The Enemy of the World, Jamie McCrimmon in TV story The Enemy of the World, the Second Doctor, The War Games, and Ben Jackson in The Tenth Planets, Polly Wright also in The Tenth Planet, Dode Shepley in The War Machines, Sarah Kingdom in the TV story Daleks Master Plan, Katarina also in the Daleks Master Plan, and Stephen Taylor in the Time Adler, Vicky Bannister in The Rescue, Barbara Wright in the TV story The Chase, Ian Chesterton also The Chase, Susan Foreman in The Daleks, and the First Doctor in TV story The Daleks Master Plan. So there are many flashbacks on the mind analysis machine. That's always funny. Always funny to have some flashbacks to remember. Yes, oh, that story and that story and that story. And I'm so enthusiastic every time I see this flashbacks to remind. And then yes, that story and that story and that story. Yes. Oh. I'm so enthusiastic about this, about Doctor Who. I like it very much. So Tegan leaves the TARDIS, but is eventually reunited with a doctor in Brisbane, Australia, on 22 September 2006. 22 years later, in audio, The Gathering, she has offered another different encounter with the Doctor in prose in Good Companions. And she would later encounter the 13th Doctor as well as talk with a holographic representation of the 5th Doctor in TV story The Power of the Doctor. So we see her back then with Jodie Whittaker. Another thing is that the Doctor meets Davros again in audio story Davros. The use of contagion But the Daleks as a weapon is a recurring element of Dalek exploits. See it in TV story Dalek Invasion of Earth. They infect Earth with the plague. It's with with the first Doctor, Roy Martin. In TV story Planet of the Daleks, they conquer Spyrodon with disease. And Planet of the Daleks is a third Doctor story with Joe Grant. And in TV story Death to the Daleks, and that is with also the third Doctor, and then with Sarah Jane Smith. Then they threatened to launch plague missiles. Also in the TV story Genesis of the Daleks with Tom Baker, Davros contemplates a hypothetical situation proposed by the fourth Doctor of a disease that would wipe out all life. Later creates it in audio story Terror Firma. Next is that when the Doctor makes his decision to murder Davros, he justifies his plan by recalling his hesitation as an eventual decline to cause the genocide of the Daleks before they could develop into ruthless ethno-supremacist monsters. He claims that this was a mistake, sorry, Genesis of the Daleks reference. Tegan previously encountered a Dalek in the Cathedral Power of the Elite, Florana in Audio the Elite, and also met several other Daleks on planet XB93 during audio story Nightmare of the Daleks. Now things that Doctor says he wouldn't know what to do with an army, but will command one later against Morbius in Prose Warmonger. After being offered an army by Missy, the 12th Doctor, Peter Capaldi, stated that he doesn't need one because he had his companions in TV story Death in Heaven. And the last thing in continuity is that the Daleks previously created numerous duplicates of the 5th Doctor on Mojox during audio story Dalek Soul. So, and that, my friends, that is all I have to say about this story. So, some commercial and then. So, Sci-Fi Fantasy fans and all sort of fans meet on this channel for fun chats about their beloved books, movies, series, and franchises. We also talk about food and drinks, music and sport, and a special place for Doctor Who. Oh, yes! Random Cuss. We will discuss everything that involves entertainment, including movies, series, books, and music. Random Cuss will broadcast on non-fixed times, actually many different times. You need to subscribe to this channel to know what time the broadcast is. Random. Also, because we have no guests or different guests. Depends on join me in the live stream panel. If you want to join me in live stream, feel free to contact me via Discord and YouTube, and we will look what is possible. The Discord server is called Ren Entertainment Channel Tech Doctor Who on Discord, and you find me very quick. So cheers, mate. Have lots of fun. This is your host, Enigmatic Joker. So I'm looking forward to meet you. See you next time. For now, bye bye. Bye bye. Have a nice day. Bye bye.